Welcome to Blockchain Recorded, the podcast for the tech curious, where we talk about anything and everything related to the exponentially evolving crypto blockchain and Web 3.0 space. Blockchain Recorded's mission is simple: to share knowledge and insight and help evolve education in blockchain fundamentals and decentralization solutions. We at Blockchain Recorded are not registered investment advisors and do not deal with financial or trading token elements, nor offer any licensed financial services. The content of this podcast is provided for informational and educational purposes only, while the opinions of all parties involved are their own. I'm your host, Nina Cerar. I have a finance background, having worked on Wall Street and the pharmaceutical industry. After living in 5 countries and dedicating time to my family, I left the corporate world. Today, I work as a freelance consultant and am fascinated by the innovative space of crypto and blockchain, different ways of thinking, and the people that are making that happen. So let's talk blockchain. Before we begin, let me say a few words about our sponsor. This episode sponsors Fourth Tech, which is short for Fourth Pillar Technologies. Fourth Tech is a next-gen multi-blockchain ecosystem, platform, cryptocurrency, and a suite of decentralized applications that enable users to exchange data files and instant messages from wallet to wallet in a secure and decentralized way. The Fourth Tech Charter aims to establish a foundation for decentralized digital identity, multi-chain data exchange, digital data notarization, and decentralization of cloud storage. Established back in 2017, the initiative is composed of individuals and companies that collaborate to create decentralized data management solutions for the benefit of everyone. 2 of the Fourth Tech innovations are 4DX, which can be described as the blockchain WeTransfer alternative, where the protocol leverages trust sourced from the blockchain and provides a secure, immutable wallet A to wallet B data file exchange, and 4IM, which uses the Solana blockchain to serve as an immutable ledger, exchanging encrypted short instant messages from wallet to wallet. Welcome back to episode with Ivar Moesman, the Business Development Director at Blockstream. In part 1, we discussed Ivar's path to crypto, the extensive blockchain ecosystem and its products, such as Blockstream's wallet collection, satellite network, data services, their mining system, Blockstream Finance Division with BMN hashing power token, and the Liquid network. We now continue on to part 2. How does Blockstream relate to the Bitcoin Lightning Network?
Yeah. So again, this also ties into the future of Bitcoin. Like, what is Bitcoin? What is it used for? Today, most of the people they buy Bitcoin because they want to get rich. I mean, which is obvious. Everyone wants money.
They're not all for the tech.
Oh no, not at all.
Yeah, let's be honest.
I mean,
sure.
And of course, and we're human beings, right? We like.
Greed.
This is more like, well, yes, but it's also like, it's like being poor. Well, I don't know. There's so many ways of talking about this, but basically, like, why do people want money? Like, we have to go into like the psychology of human beings, but I think most people can agree that having more money is better than having less money. Like, if you're really poor, it's not ideal. You don't need money to be happy, but money allows you to do certain things. And then there's the other extreme where it's like, like you have like very, very rich people. Let's go back to like Richard Branson, like the Virgin Father. I think that was one of his books. He talked about his mother, and his mother said, money is to make things happen,
Yeah.
So depending on who you are, if you're,
he made these happen. He made things happen.
Money is a tool. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
money is a tool. It makes things happen. Money is energy. If you have money, you could hire people, you could build buildings, you could do things, you can produce economic activity. So money is good. Like, if you're good intentioned. But of course, everyone are different. So some people just abuse.
That's the problem, right? That's the problem, right? I mean, most people, or a lot of people, you need to put it to good use. But it's hard to. Sometimes it's hard. People don't know. Lottery winners, they don't know what to do with their money.
Exactly.
But sure. Yeah.
So that will go back to, we're all human beings. So we're all free. We're all born free to do what we want. We think what we want. We can choose to do what we want. So, it's all, an individual pursuit. And, people choose to do good things. People choose to do bad things. For whatever reason. So I think it's just an individual pursuit of these things. And everyone. So I guess the thing is that everyone kind of wants money. Money is not a bad thing. Money is a tool that can be used for good or bad things. So I guess we started this conversation about the Lightning Network.
Yeah.
So
it's easy to get on a tangent, but yeah.
Yeah, I forget now where it started, but basically, like today, yeah, no. So a lot of people buy Bitcoin to get rich, which is fine, because we cover that. It's not a bad thing, Everyone wants money. Let's be honest about that. So that's the store of value aspect of Bitcoin. But I think to have Bitcoin succeed, in the future, it has to do more things. So it has to be like a medium of exchange as well. You have to transact on it. And today, I don't want to spend my Bitcoin today. Like, why would I do that? Why would I sell Bitcoin today to buy something so I'll have less Bitcoin? I'll have the thing, and it's easier to use my Visa card. Why would I use Bitcoin to pay for things? I wouldn't. I don't. I've done it for fun. Sometimes you buy things that only you'll have to use Bitcoin to, or sometimes it's easier if you want to send large amount of money, quote unquote. For example, there are certain use cases where Bitcoin is great, but
so you're holding it as a store of value. I mean,
yes.
Isn't the whole thing about Bitcoin? I mean, you want to reach adoption.
Yes, exactly. So
you want people to use it.
Yeah. So if you're the West, you primarily buy Bitcoin because it's I don't know, to get rich, to have a return on investment. That's one use case. If you're in Argentina and your monetary system is terrible, then
Sure.
Bitcoin, the use case of Bitcoin there is to help you not lose all your money. If you want to send a lot of money from country A to country B, and country A has great infrastructure in the banking system, country B has terrible, then Bitcoin is an alternative. If you don't want to have, if you just like personal freedom, and you don't want banks to ask you questions, and then you can use Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is just simply better for some things. But I think we need other scaling alternatives, and obviously Lightning is one of them. So I think Lightning is very important for Bitcoin to be more usable, and to expand the range of things you can do with Bitcoin. So like Andreas talks a lot about this as well. Like you can stream money, and for Bitcoin to be a preferred method of payments in sort of mainstream use cases, which is like, I don't know, with this, to pay for a cookie. I'm not going to say coffee, a cookie. To pay for a cookie, it has to be more convenient to use Bitcoin. The swiping a Visa card using Apple Pay is super easy. So for Bitcoin to be used as payment, it has to be like better, than the current things. Convenient, easier, faster, cheaper, whatever. And the consumer has to be incentivized. Sure. And the merchant has to be incentivized. So today, merchants, they pay, I don't know, let's say 1 to 5% to the credit card companies. So for them, they're incentivized to use Bitcoin, because Bitcoin doesn't necessarily have those fees. You can set up a system where it's almost zero fees. So anyway, so I think, to cut it into a summary here, Lightning is important for Bitcoin to expand the range of things you can do with Bitcoin. So this is also why Blockstream is working on. So the Lightning, so the network protocol of Lightning is being developed now by many different companies. I think there are like 6 implementations now that do different things. They have different properties. They're built by different teams, and of course they all have to agree. All these protocols, they have to be able to talk together. So all these different protocol developers of Lightning, they have to come to a consensus about what the protocol does. There's certain things that they have to be able to speak together. So Blockstream has something called C Lightning, which is one of the implementations of Lightning right now. So
you have your own implementation, or how? I'm trying to technically understand this. Blockstream has its own version of a Lightning network that's called what you mentioned, C Lightning.
C Lightning. It's written in C, programming language C. And it has certain capabilities, versus the other implementations. It's easy. It has to compile, easy to set up. And we also have something called, it's a product using Lightning, which is called Lightning Charge, which is an API for merchants to accept Lightning payments. So we're building out the Lightning network. Our team is helping to build the Lightning network, to set the specifications of the Lightning network. And also create applications on top of that. That helps the adoption of the Lightning network.
So I'm just trying to picture the relation between C Lightning and the Lightning network that we know of as of today. What's the difference? You have like your own I'm not a developer,
exactly.
so it's difficult for me to understand.
Of course. Yeah. So you could say like, so for a protocol to work, so it's, first of all, it's helpful to have different implementations of the protocol, because that creates redundancies. If you just have one thing that does one thing with one set of rules only, and if that thing fails, the whole thing fails. So it's important to have different sort of protocols that talk together. Yeah, different choice that follow different rules. So if an attacker is able, let's say, to shut down one implementation, maybe the other ones he's not able to because they're built differently. But they all have to cooperate together. They have to all talk to each other. So there's certain parameters of the network that has to function. So we are developing one of those implementations, and that's So it's and also I have to say, like the team, like Christian Decker, he's so it's Rusty, Lisa, and Christian on the team mainly at Blockstream, and I mean, Christian was one of the sort of the creator or inventors. He didn't call it the Latin network; he called it payment channels. But he was basically writing this paper about this type of technology. It was I don't know which year it was, but it was when people talking about how do you scale Bitcoin. And then there was another implementation that it was called the Lightning Network. They released their paper first, and then Christian had a very similar paper. He didn't release it. He released it later, but he thought it was very similar. Okay. But anyway, so we're helping to basically build out and create the Lightning Network because it's important to Bitcoin to do that.
Yeah, of course. Very cool. Wow. We are just so many topics in too little time. Yeah. I'm just checking out. We're like almost an hour, but let's maybe when going towards like wrapping it up. So all these products, all this this is just awesome. I'm sort of just engulfing it all in as you explain everything. Of course, I can't get past to the topic of maybe we sort of move away from Blockstream and the products, but just tying it in with decentralization, right? I mean, I actually, this reminds me of what you were talking about just last, your talk. I listened to your YouTube video from, I think it was like 2015. So this is sort of when you were getting started. You were cheering for Bitcoin, but you were talking about decentralization and trust in the system, et cetera, et cetera. You have definitely not altered your opinion on Bitcoin and crypto since then, but maybe talk to us about that and tell us maybe your thoughts now. And also you mentioned network effects before. I mean, this is also an important concept, right? Maybe just shed some light here.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's funny, like this, I think it was 2015. I was living in Shanghai, China, working for the government.
Yeah, you were.
And trying to figure out, hey, like, I'm so interested in Bitcoin. Like, how can I somehow get Bitcoin hacked into my daily job?
Yes.
So, and as a consulate general, you do a lot of presentations and a lot of you get people together. There's a lot of networking going on, especially in China, where a lot of the culture, like you have to get to know the person. That's another rabbit hole we can go into, by the way, like cultural differences between East and West. It's like in the West, you don't necessarily want to know the person you're doing business with. Let's keep it business. Let's not mix personal business. In China, it's like, they don't want to do business with people that they don't know. So there's a lot of networking, a lot of events, and stuff like that. And so we were hosting one event where we had like super cool people. We had Ben Goertzel. He's one of the great minds within artificial intelligence.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So I managed to get him on there as a speaker. As a robotics and AI company based in Hong Kong. And so basically, it was a seminar. We talked about exponential growth of technologies and what's going to happen. We talked about things like AI, where Ben talked about AI, and it's because there are certain technologies that are just going exponential. And
of course, the disruptive technologies.
Yeah, disruptive stuff. So I wanted to talk about Bitcoin. I wanted to evangelize Bitcoin. So basically, I read a book called Bold by Peter Diamandis and Stephen Kotler, which is like awesome. It talks about it's the 6 Ds of disruption, which explains how an industry, what happens to an industry when the industry becomes digitized. And the traditional example is like Kodak. Like Kodak, the camera company, they even invented the digital camera, but they didn't believe in the digitization because they thought, well, the camera, it's a black and white camera, it's like super shitty pictures, it weighs 3 kilos, this thing will never work. But then once you digitize something, it becomes exponential, and you go from 0.1 megapixel to 0.2, 4 to 0.8, and then you go on and on and on and on, and suddenly you hit the exponential curve, the S curve, and then if your products are digitized, you ride the exponential curve, and any industry that isn't able to move from the analog world to the digitized world, they will
falls
lose.
Back. Yeah,
fall in any industry. And the thing about digitization is that people don't understand exponential growth. Like humans, our brains don't understand exponential growth. Like if we chase a hyena, or actually if we run away from a hyena, or we want to catch a prey, we think, okay, he's going to run up to speed, so have to be there in the future. It's not exponential. We can't think in exponential terms, and so it's very deceptive. We think, oh, it's a shitty camera, it's not going to do anything, and that thing will never work. But then, once it hits 1 megapixel, 2 megapixel, 4 megapixel, 8 megapixel, 1 year after another, suddenly you're out competed. So it's deceptive. It's digitized. So the 6 Ds are digitized. Then it's deceptive. Then it's disruptive. It disrupts whole industries. Then it becomes demonetized because it becomes for free, basically. So Kodak used to sell, physical film to take a picture. They had a camera and they had a film, where you developed, paper. So they become dematerialized, and it became for free because you just have your phone and you can take a picture for free and you can send it for free, and then it becomes democratized. So digitized, deceptive, disrupted, demonetized, dematerialized, democratized. Democratized means everyone can do it because it's for free. That, the person in quote unquote Africa or poor country has a phone and he has access to all the information of the world. That's democratized. And this is what Bitcoin does. Bitcoin is moving money, assets, power from an analog world into a digitized world. And this is what Bitcoin is doing now. That's why the central banks and the payments industry, the financial industry, they cannot compete with Bitcoin because Bitcoin is running the exponential curve. Bitcoin is permissionless. That means permissionless innovation, permissionless use. It's just better in every single way. So that's why even Elon Musk talks about this. Like if the innovation of industry A is higher than the innovation of industry B, and they're competing, industry A will win. That's why they're permissions. So Bitcoin will win. It has to win. And so that's what I talked about in 2015. It's and that's why when Andreas talks, it makes sense to be like, like 1 + 1 is 2, right? Yeah, 1 + 1 is 2. So you just keep adding ones, and you'll see in 10 years, Bitcoin will disrupt and democratize money, and money is power. That's why
it has, right? I mean, it already has. I mean, that was 2015. You're way ahead of your time, but it has.
Yes.
I remember you and I know each other for some years now, but you mentioned to me, just watch, in some years' time or what, I forget which year this was. You said, you'll see on TV or on MSNBC, they'll follow Bitcoin, though everyone's going to talk about it. Because back then, no one talked about it, right? So just this concept of network effects and everything, I mean, it's everywhere. It's everywhere now,
yes.
Right? And there's just no way of going back. Which even so, you even mentioned, okay, in terms of decentralization and this concept of network effects. And then now we're talking about the sort of the word metaverse, right? That's a whole other, I think that's a whole other topic. Probably we don't have time for all of that today, but it's just amazing the network effects of Bitcoin, right?
I absolutely. So on that point, because you asked about it before as well. So I want to say here, shout outs to Trace Mayer. I mean, I want to give a shot, with back in early days, it's always harder when, there are no people, you have those like passionate, diehard people that have to go first and pave the way, and of course you have like people like Julian and Assange, you have the surfing punks, you have to almost have like people that go to prison, like take the
bullet.
Take the bullets, and then it's easy for people to follow. Those are the brave people. But back then I remember Trace Mayer. It was like Andres Antonopoulos and Trace Mayer, and people like that. Even Eric Voorhees. Like I was listening to them talk about things, and so Trace Mayer he coined an article called 7 Network Effects of Bitcoin, where I think it's super interesting, really cool, because he talked about, like, he broke it down. Like he said, like, basically, look, this is why. So, if for any system or any product or any service or any company, how do you decide, like, how do you know, like, this thing will win over others? Like how can a competitor, easily come in and take over? Like, if you look at the network effects, that's a good framework to look at things. And the typical example is that, like, Google, this huge behemoth, they relate to social networking, or like what do you call it? Like social media. So Facebook, they did Facebook, obviously, and they were like the first, quote unquote, in social media. I mean, there was before, but MySpace and stuff like that. But
and Friendster.
And then Google, they're like, oh shit, like Friendster. Google, they're like, oh man, we missed out. They're just nerds. They didn't get the social thing, so they missed out. But then they tried to make Google Plus. But then Facebook, they had like one. I mean, they had more network effects, but the primary one was users. They had one network effect, which were users, and users they didn't want to switch from Facebook to Google. So even though Google had all the money in the world, they were unable to dethrone Facebook, because Facebook has one network effect, and Bitcoin has like 7. So when people say, "Oh, Bitcoin is going to be replaced," and blah blah blah, this is like the conversation I have with the newbies. Like, oh well, you hear all the silly things they say, like, "Oh, there's so many coins," or proof of work, blah blah blah. You have to look at the network effects. How you break it down. So Trace Mayer talked about speculation, which is like, way to get rich. How many people own Bitcoin? The value goes up. A lot of people want to own it. So a lot of people own it. So that's the network effect. You have users and you have developers. So if you have a lot of users, you have a lot of developers. A lot of developers, they make cool stuff, which attracts more users. So it's like a snowball. It's like they enforce one another. Sure. And then you have users, you have developers making cool products, and then you have merchants. Since a lot of people have Bitcoin, they want to spend Bitcoin. So then merchants say, "Oh, hey, wait a minute, Bitcoin is cheaper than Visa. Okay, let's use Bitcoin." They plug into the Bitcoin network that Michael Saylor talks about. They're plugging into the Bitcoin network. Right. And then you have consumers that start to use it. And then with all these things, you're incentivized. The price goes up on Bitcoin because more people want to buy it. So then miners are incentivized to mine more Bitcoin because the price is up. So then you have security, which is another network effect. So you have more hashing power, more security, which attracts more users, which attracts more developers. And then you have financialization, where Bitcoin becomes a financial asset, which you see today. And BMN product is one such example. And then you have adoption of Bitcoin as the world reserve currency, the union of account. So those are the 7 network effects penned by Trace Mayer way back when. So I think that's a useful framework to think about Bitcoin and think about, like, which systems will succeed or not. You have to look at the properties. Like Bitcoin is decentralized. Decentralization is an extremely important property of a system that is trying to take over and disrupt and democratize and demonetize the creation of money, which is power. Money is power. Money is energy, is power. If you have a system that goes after the mother of all assets, money, energy itself, you better be decentralized. So that's something very important. That the only, and now we can talk about decentralization. And you can rank all the different systems or coins, whatever, So anyway, it's a useful framework to talk about newbies that don't understand why Bitcoin is important and why Bitcoin matters.
Definitely, for sure. You talk about adoption as a world reserve currency unit, right? So that makes me and it is in a way. And the reply of the governments today, right? I mean, the central banks are obviously planning, and this is not a secret. We know that they're planning their own digital currencies, right? I want to sort of skip ahead here. I wanted to ask you more about other topics, but this sort of brings me to So the central bank digital currencies, right? What do you think of the CBDCs? And I've been thinking about this also a lot, just also because I have a finance background. How do you think that they will coexist with the crypto scene? I mean, we have Bitcoin. We have, obviously, you're much, I would say probably you're a Bitcoin maximalist, given your enthusiasm. But of course, shout out to the Ethereum crowd as well. But I think we're all in this together anyway. But do you think that it will be a rivalry, or how will it coexist, do you think, with what the central banks are planning on doing now? I mean, they're obviously using the blockchain technology. They're planning, everything has been sort of laid out for them. What do you think is going to happen?
Right. So, first of all, as a human being, as a person, I try to focus on solutions, and I try not to be so much against things. I want to be like solution seeker, not a problem finder, and I like to not try to push against anything. So I think people are just trying to do their thing in the space, and all as well. Let's see who wins. Let's do this. The real competitor is the current system.
Right.
And then we can go deep on that as well. Like how to, CBDCs, governments, crypto. I mean, where is this whole thing going? I mean, ultimately, Bitcoin is energy. It's digitized power. It's taking it away from the pyramid structure. So I think the issue, quote unquote, of the world, there's maybe a lot of issues, but one issue which is at the root of a lot of things is it's like, okay, so we have how does a society structure itself to make decisions, to allocate resources, so that the desires of individuals and the desires of the society as a whole are met. It's yes. This is like the big thing. Like, how do we structure our society so that countries and societies and individuals prosper, that they're given education, and that they're given, every chance that they can, that problems are being addressed by the right people, that people making decisions, feel the pain if they make a wrong decision, or they get the advantage if they feel the right decision over time. It's like, how do we structure our society in ways that humans as a species can evolve and do cool things and become like a multiplanetary species? And how do we not have corruption, terrible incentive systems, inconvenient systems sort of drag down humanity from what it can be? And I think one term is govern. How do we govern planet Earth so that we can all prosper? That's the huge thing. And I think this is what crypto is going after. Money is just one pillar. Money is the internet is the nervous system of the world, where information flows. Information is created, transmitted, consumed permissionlessly, without rent seekers. And Bitcoin is the same thing, but it's just for power, energy, assets. So that's a big speech, but you asked about CBDCs.
Yeah.
So let's go there.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
anyway,
because
the idea is
different societies, different governments, right? But
yes,
all sort of roads point to the same direction.
Yes. So specifically about, so I think the overall goal of crypto is to reorganize how we govern planet Earth. And then you can break it into countries and nationalities and nations and stuff like that, or local authorities and people have different philosophies and things like this. But anyway, it's a beautiful mess. And I think crypto is a huge part of it.
We can talk about that for hours.
Yeah, for a long time. So let's talk about CBDCs. I think governments, I mentioned I worked a couple of years in the government function. I got to see how governments or an organization of the government work. And I mean, governments, they cannot innovate. Why? Because people that choose to work in government, for the most part, I mean, the system of the government is terrible. Incentives are misaligned. The people that choose to work in certain positions, they may start out being, wanting to change the world, to change the system, but they at some point, unless you're very, very strong, you become corrupted by the system. And so the system of government is bad. Exactly. We all know this. So whenever government tries to do something innovative, and the government, they basically say, okay, everything is digitized. Okay. So internet has already, we talked about the 6 Ds, everything is being digitized. One of the last things we just talked about now, the government, is government itself. So government is seeing, oh man, we have to do something here. We're like our power structure, which is underpinned by money, is being threatened. Okay, we have to act. They're like Kodak panicking because they see like Nokia is suddenly has producing more cameras than Kodak. And they're like, oh shit, we missed out. So CBDCs is governments. Either it's different governments have different incentives. So I don't know as a government as a whole, like some nations, governments, they are like really, they try to do the good thing for the people. They just want to, digitize, and they see this, and we have to do CBDC. So this is like obvious. Yeah, they have to create the Bitcoin, quote unquote, but they have to be regulated, and they want control. They don't want to give up control. So they have to make CBDCs. I get it. Obvious. But then we talked about, the network effects. CBDCs, like so Bitcoin is code, cryptocurrency is code. Yeah, the better developers you have, the better, smarter, more passionate developers, the better the system. And what governments don't have, they don't have passionate people. They don't have smart people. They have some smart people, but they don't have the real smart people. If you combine,
I'm sure there's smart people. Yeah,
sure. Of
the
course.
system is flawed in the beginning, right?
Yes.
It's slow and fixed, and
yes.
Which in some respect, okay, maybe it's in a good way that they're slow in regulating the whole crypto scene, but that's my question, right? Which is what I'm questioning myself every day. How is this? How is this going to interplay, or how are they going to intertwine with each other? Is the government going to be able to, you can't, Bitcoin's proved itself again and again that it's, it falls, but then it picks itself up again, right? How is it, what is it going to be like?
I think exactly. I think we touched on this. Like, so individuals were free, we're born free. We love freedom. Bitcoin represents freedom. Okay.
Well, most people,
freedom, Bitcoin represents choice. It represents freedom. We all want that. And if you're a smart, quote unquote, person, you realize what we just talked about. You realize that the pyramid structure of power is not a good thing. So if you're very smart, you don't work for the government on their CBDCs. You choose to work for Bitcoin or crypto. That's why some of the smartest people, in finance and banking, or engineering or whatever, name your industry, they're coming to crypto because they see what this is. And the more people, again, now we go back to this network effects, the more people own it, like government will not, be able to sort of, control crypto. What's going to happen is that the adoption of crypto is going to be, it's exponential. So in a few years, there are going to be everyone's going to be a Bitcoiner, including the people in power. And like what Steve Jobs said, I don't remember what the problem was, but he said like death takes care of a lot of problems. Old people don't want to change; they resist change. But you just give it time, and Gen X, the person today growing up with crypto in 30 years, he's going to be in government. So latest by 30 years, crypto is going to be. It's going to be, I think, everywhere. And the CBDC thing, it's all innovation. The better system wins. The system with best network effects wins. And I think CBDCs cannot have more network effects than Bitcoin or crypto, because they just can't. By the nature of the government, they have to play in the regulated space. Like crypto, passionate cypherpunk, they don't play in those rules. Software is free speech. So they could play in rules, they could do things government can't do. So it's like government. It's like an outdated dinosaur that is like has a straitjacket on, and Bitcoin is like an alien, just zoning down from outer space. Doesn't follow the rules. It can hover, it can do things. You know what I mean? It doesn't. You know what I mean? And the dinosaur, which straitjacket, it's trying to tame this alien, and the alien just looks at this old outdated thing sort of with amusement, knowing that it's already like it's already won. Like Bitcoin is already like
I don't think it's definitely proven itself for sure.
At the heart of this, it's education. It's the people that know these things. They see 1 + 1 + 1 is 3, and the people that don't know this thing and they just don't see it for whatever reason. but okay, we have to, but we still have to build this stuff, right? That's why Blockstream is doing what it's doing. We can't take it for granted.
Yeah,
every day we have to grind
for sure.
But we're the aliens. We're so.
Yeah, well, this is just, this is super interesting. I think bottom line, just to sort of wrap up the last question and then sort of wrap everything up, CBDCs will exist in certain ways. Yeah. The crypto scene, I guess, they will have their parallel power play with the governments. Obviously there will be regulation. It's in some ways, it's good to have certain amount of regulation. But I guess we'll just see where it goes, right? I think this was just super interesting. Just one thing that you mentioned last, you said everyone's going to be in Bitcoin. It's still hard. It's definitely become more mainstream. It's still not there yet. I don't see my parents, that are baby boomer generation. They don't have the concept. They can't grasp it. But like you said, I think, through time, they will.
Their children will understand.
Which is us.
Yeah.
So,
and even younger people. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. That is the undeniable evolutionary path of crypto.
Sure. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ivar, I think we've gone pretty long here. So many interesting topics. Great products that you speak of with Blockstream. You did just start your path there, but I wish you all the best and good luck and hope that, there's been topics that we did not cover in detail that we wanted to get to, but hoping that we could have you back in some time, or maybe you or a colleague, and we can talk more about Blockstream and its what it's accomplishing and just your thoughts and concepts in the pipeline.
Definitely. I'd love to be back, or some of my colleagues. Great
Ivar, yeah.
Great questions.
Thank you. Well, great answers. And thank you so much for your time. And like I said, I hope to see you back soon or hear from you back soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ivar.
Great. Thank you, Nina. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Thanks again to Ivar, and thank you everyone for listening. Thanks to our sponsor, Fourth Tech, who's supporting our first steps in the podcast world. And thank you to the Barian Music team for providing their music. You can check out their latest album on barianmusic.com. You can find all supporting information on our website, blockchainrecorded.com. And you can also find us on Google, Apple, and Amazon podcasts, as well as Spotify, Radio Public, and Stitcher. Be well and stay tuned for our next episode.